I know that this is going to be more than what I originally set out, but let's see. Oh my gosh. Woo! Yeah, okay. Today, I did a hard thing. I took a cold, hard look at the financial reality of my business, Max and Mace. As I mentioned in my first video, my number one strategy for starting this business is to use my own money. I wanted to do this without investors or getting any loans because one, that felt too overwhelming and stressful for me, and two, I wanted to force myself to be resourceful. What can get done with a small amount of cash and a dream? Well, a lot. But I feel like I could have spent far less had I known what I know now. In this video, I'm going to take you with me as I expose my financial reality to the world, or to whoever is actually watching this. And I'm going to give you my 5 lessons I've learned through this process so you don't make the same mistakes as me. Now, some backstory. When I first started this business, I met with a wonderful mentor that gave me guidance on all areas of entrepreneurship, including how much I would likely spend on the business. I remember she told me, get ready to spend about $10,000 on this project. At the time, I remember thinking, sure, lady, I can get it done in 5. I want you to keep those numbers in mind as you watch me work through this. Did it cost me $5,000? $10,000? Or something much, much more? Here we go. Well, made my own coffee. That's gotta save me some money, right? Okay, let's get into it. I finally have the courage to look at these finances. What I think I'm gonna do is break down my finances by development expenses. So all the expenses that I used before I even decided to start a business. So that I'll separate out, but I'll still give you the total for that. And then also I'm gonna look at business expenses. What I'm gonna do is, because I kind of want this to be a reveal, so what I'm gonna do is write down each number. I won't put in the total until the end, and then we'll see exactly how much I spent on this. I am both excited and nervous. I hate doing my finances. So I actually did one of these before months ago and I can't find it. So as I'm looking this stuff up, this really is the first time I've looked at my finances in a while. I know I should be better about it and I will get better at it. So we're on this journey together. So to start buying aroma chemicals, I spent, let's see, I bought 2 introductory kits, which were a preset amount of notes from certain distributors, and they both were about $250 each. So that's $500 total on starter materials. Another thing I paid for were formal education classes in perfumery. It's difficult. Perfumery is chemistry. And I know that I'm not gonna pick it all up just by trial and error on my own. For any business that you're starting, if you can afford to pay for some amount of formal education, please do it. Just so save you a lot of time and effort. So those courses cost me about $4,000. I also had to buy some materials like the scale that I used, and it was only $150. And then I had to buy a few other little starter things from Amazon, like my alcohol dispenser, perfumer's alcohol. So all that came out to about $60. I tell you what, in terms of tips, one important tip here is to keep your stuff organized. Don't be like me. This is taking forever.
Let me save you some time by just showing you the total for my development costs. Notice that I've separated out starter perfumery material costs from what I'm calling advanced perfumery costs, which are additional essential oils and aroma chemicals I've picked up over time. Now let's find these business expenses.
My God, there's so much logging in. So many authentication codes.
For business expenses, you can see the majority of the costs come from my blending, boxing, labeling service, but also take note of the media materials section, which was higher than I thought. But the storage is currently at 0, since I can legally store my small inventory at my studio space. Now, back to me having a breakdown.
How much have I paid you? Okay, so I just finished tallying up all of my business expenses and I'm about to hit the equal sign here. And I honestly, I know I'm over. I know that this is going to be more than what I originally set out, but let's see. Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. That is much more than I thought it was going to be. But you know what? That's all right. Because as I was crunching these numbers, I thought of some really good lessons for myself. I'm going to show you these lessons. Woo! All right, actually, I forgot. There's a whole other section here. So I just added up the business expenses section, but I also need to add in my development expenses section for my grand total. So let's do that right now. All right. Grand total, everything all together is 1,000, no, $19,201. So safe to say I spent probably double the amount that I had originally intended to spend. But you know what? There's a lot behind these numbers that we're not talking about. A lot of this is rent for a long time, materials that last forever, long beyond just this initial release that's coming out. So the context behind these numbers is important to remember. However, there are many lessons. There are many lessons that I can take from this, and I want to go over those with you. So I'm going to take a break from looking at these numbers. I need to go air out. I need to go calm down, and then I'm going to regroup, and then we're going to talk about these numbers in depth. We're going to run it through. All right, wish me luck. Okay, now some time has passed and I've been able to reflect a bit on these numbers. And honestly, I think I could do it again for $10,000 if I were to start over. Let's recap. For development expenses, I ended up spending a total of $4,701. If I were to add the additional money from buying perfumery materials, that would bring my development total to $6,627. For business expenses, I ended with a total of $12,824 for a grand total of $19,451. Yikes. That's nearly double what she originally thought I would spend and nearly 4 times what my naive mind thought I would spend. Here's what I would do today if I wanted to get this started with $10,000 right out the gate. First, I would not have taken those perfumery courses. I know that's controversial because the education was extremely helpful, but I also know that YouTube is an incredible resource that is basically free. I've learned more about perfumery from watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, and reading perfumery books than I learned in any formal classroom setting. If I had to do it again, I would eliminate that part. Sorry, not sorry, I guess. Another easy one for me to eliminate would be the price of the studio. This was only applicable to me because I did not want to cram my perfumery materials into my small apartment, but if I needed to, I could have ditched that expense. I also think I could have saved money on perfumery materials. If I spent a bit more time learning which materials did what, then I could have eliminated duplications. Also, I bought so many of those materials kind of piece by piece rather than in large swaths that the shipping costs really began to add up. The price of shipping will be between $15 to $30 per package. I could have easily cut like $500 off that expense if I was just a bit more efficient. Media materials could have also been cut. Between Shopify, Canva, AI video editors for social media, those costs add up yearly. I think I got my Shopify store too early too. It cost me like $40 a month to have, but I let it sit for like 8 months without really using it. That alone could have saved me $320. And the last huge change I would make if I needed to keep my budget below $10,000, I would have started using oil blends instead of alcohol blending. When I first started this journey, I naively thought that I would get my fragrance concentrates back, I would get some jugs of denatured alcohol, and I would just start blending on my own. If I would have researched, I would have learned that there are very strict laws against having excess amounts of alcohol in your possession without a permit from the ATF or your local fire department. Additionally, products that contain alcohol need their own special storage facility if they're in excess of a certain number. All that means increased costs. If I had just started with oil blending, I actually could have done that on my own and I could have stored them in any storage facility. That could have cut my cost down by like $4,500. Those adjustments would have brought down my total cost for starting the business to about $8,300, much lower than the $10,000 we were aiming for, but still higher than my $5,000 naive estimate. All of these numbers can vary depending on what business type you're hoping to create, but I leave you with these 5 lessons that apply to anyone hoping to fund their business with their own money. Number 1, know your true costs. If your product has any legal limitations like alcohol use for mine, Make sure you know that ahead of time so you don't have a multi-thousand-dollar unknown expense coming your way from hiring experts. 2. Get many quotes. For any of the contract services, I sought many quotes before choosing, and they varied greatly. I was once quoted up to $37,000 just to blend, box, and label my fragrances. They didn't even do compliance or testing. If you feel like a number you're getting is too high, definitely see what else is out there. Number 3, watch for expense creep. That $20 a month cost to the AI photo editor or the $30 charge for shipping, all of those add up to a hefty charge yearly. So make sure you're staying on top of each of those small recurring expenses. Number 4, you need to be agile. I do still think it's possible to get this done with $5,000 if I just scaled even smaller. Being agile means being ready to adjust your plans smaller or think of alternatives so you can do the best with what you have. You can always use the money you make from starting small to fund your next step. Number 5, I said it in the video already because it's true, be organized. I could do a much better job of keeping track of my finances, even if I hate it because it's boring. Knowledge is power, and that's how we make smart financial decisions. And also, don't forget, the tax man cometh. So you need to have this info handy for your taxes anyway, which reminds me, I still need to learn that part because I don't know much about the taxes. My final thoughts on this are, yes, I wish I spent less money on this project, but overall, I still think this is a really affordable amount to spend on a new business. The average small business spends about $40,000 in their first year, so we're still well under that. Also, if you're financially responsible and starting a business that requires a lot of equipment or employees, it is definitely a great option to take advantage of loans and investors. You do what works for you. There's no judgment here. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription. We are a new channel and a new business, and I really appreciate your support. Next Tuesday, you're coming with me to the lab. I'll show you how I craft my own fragrance blends, the literal backbone of my brand. I'll see you then.